Alright, welcome back to WMAC Now with your host Chuck Stevenson, coming at you with another fight review. So we're going to Honolulu, Hawaii for Bellator 279. We're going to a 120-pound catchweight bout. Randi Field coming in at 2-1, taking on the hometown girl Maraya Miller coming in at 1-1. Now both fighters were coming into this fight off of a loss, so both were looking to get back onto the winning track here. So first round, Miller came forward, leading with strikes. Field circles outside. She's looking to counter the strikes that Miller leads with. Miller gets to the clinch, and Field manages to break it with a knee. High kick by Miller. She tries to clinch, but Field again able to just shuck her off. Miller keeps trying, punching and backing Field up. Field gets Miller to the cage and Miller gets Field to the cage and gets a hip toss, immediately goes straight to side control. Nice heavy pressure on top by Maraya Miller. Eventually moves over into the clinch, gets to the mount. Miller gets the mount, starts just throwing like some short punches from the top. And then Miller, at one point she sits up, she just starts raining punches down on Field. So Field, able to turn over, gives up her back. Miller's manages to stay on, keeps both hooks in as Field tries to turn to the side, but not enough time in the round left for Miller to try to get the choke in. So strong first round for Maraya Miller there. So the second round starts. Field starts off, she throws two kicks. Miller manages to back her up with just a little bit of punches, but mostly just pressure. Gets the clinch against the cage. Now Miller grabs on the Field and tries to do, the typical Wmma head and arm throw, but Field's not having it. She shucks out right out the back door, takes Miller's back as Miller is off balance, gets both of her hooks in, flattens Maraya Miller out, gets the rear naked choke in as Miller turns over, or as they both kind of turn on to their side, and the choke is just really tight, and Miller has no choice but to submit. The end comes at 48 seconds of the second round for your winner via rear naked choke submission, Randi Field. So, like I was saying, this was a strong effort by Miller in the first round. Looked good in the first round there, but made a big mistake in the second round. Quick thinking by Field in the second. That's usually at the lower levels in the women's divisions that head and arm throw works. And because fighters don't know how to counter it, and then eventually as fighters get better, they learn to counter it. Well, Field was having none of it. She knew to just get right out the back door there, just bring her head under, get outside, and take the back of Maraya Miller. So nice quick thinking there by Randi Field. And that was a tight rear naked choke. Maraya Miller's bald girl has her head shaved, and her whole head was turning like a shade of purple by the time she tapped out. So overall, it was a fun fight. Pretty quick. Over within like less than a minute into the second round. So fun fight, fast fight, not super high level, but you know what? Fights don't always have to be super high level to be a lot of fun. And this is one that proves it. Now for things to work on for Field, she was circling around, but then as soon as Maraya Miller just decided to come forward with strikes, Field would resort to just backing straight up, and then she'd get stuck against the cage. And she did that in both rounds. So she's got to learn, how to use that lateral movement that she was using in order to get out of those situations. Because it's one thing to just circle around and try to look for shots on your opponent, and it's another thing to know how to use it to get away from your opponent when they're trying to pressure you and move you back towards the cage. Because especially in the second round, she just backed straight up until her back had nowhere else to go, and she was stuck up against the cage. So I'd like to see her use her lateral movement a little more smartly. For Maraya Miller, This is a good lesson, and it's early in her career. This is only her third fight. Gotta drop that head and arm throw. It is not going to do you any favors the deeper you go into your career. Now, some fighters manage to make use of it long past when they should have been able to, like Paige Van Zandt used it a lot to good effect. Michelle Watterson manages to catch good fighters into it still, but she's better off dropping it right now and just finding better takedowns. So drop that head and arm throw ASAP. Now, for fights to make, I don't really have any fights to make because who knows if Bellator will bring either of them back. This mainly seemed like, nothing against the two fighters here, but this, for Bellator, this seemed like a card filler to have a local girl from Hawaii fight on the card, and they brought Randi Field back in as well for this one. The only thing I will say is that Maraya Miller should stick to strawweight. She looked out of shape in there at even 120 pounds. She's not a big fighter at all. She definitely belongs at strawweight, so Maraya Miller should definitely go back to strawweight. Anyway, those are my thoughts on this fight. Randi Field submits Maraya Miller via rear naked choke, 48 seconds of the second round. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you liked the video, please give it a like. While you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to Wmma Now, the best, most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated channel on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.